Hey now everyone, Matt Haywood here from Buddhacast, and yes, we are finally back with another Star Wars centric Buddhacast. And yes, we did lie to your faces during the first Star Wars centric Buddhacast when we told you we were going to try to do it at least bi-monthly. Well, we've already flown past that due date, but we're here now, and by we, I don't mean the mouse in my pocket. I'm talking about my man, Nick Caminita. What's going on, Nick?
Trying to get this thing started, man. Ready to talk about Rey. She's one of my favorite characters.
Definitely. So yeah, as Nick kind of prefaced there, these Star Wars casts are all about Star Wars. That's all we care about. Mainly dealing with fan theories, speculations for Episode 8 or movies to release. So today, as Nick said, our topic is Rey something. Why do I say Rey something? Well, the whole idea of the topic is, who the hell is Rey? She was a pretty fucking awesome character in The Force Awakens. I think we've established that. I mean, she's a badass. She had no idea she was Force sensitive until all these plans got set in motion with BB-8 on Jakku. And then by the end of the movie, she's able to beat someone that has studied in the Force their entire life. So obviously this chick has got some serious ties to, dare I say it, midichlorians. So anyways, Nick, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I think we've kind of identified, 4 or 5 possible scenarios for Rey's origins as far as how she was produced. Who had sex to have Rey? That's what we're trying to figure out. We're going to cover some of the speculations we've seen that are kind of retarded, and we're also going to kind of throw our opinions behind the ones we think could be legit or maybe hope to be legit. So without further ado, let's get down to it, my friend. We'll kind of do it like we did the first one with Snoke. We kind of started with the most ridiculous speculations theories first. So we'll do the same thing here. And this is one that's been floating around. I forget which site started. I think it was Shortlist. I saw it. And they've been tweeting it out. They tweet it out like 10 times a day still. And this theory essentially states that Rey is Anakin Skywalker reincarnated as the Chosen One. Mm-hmm. To make up for his failings in his life. Because if you go back and you remember the concept of the Chosen One, essentially, it's like Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, bring balance to the Force.
Exactly. I mean, Neo, if you could understand the second 2 movies, essentially it was revealed to him that the Matrix and the concept of the One kept rebooting over and over and over and over and over until Neo came around and actually fulfilled the prophecy of the One in the Matrix. And that's essentially the exact same idea in the Star Wars universe. That this Chosen One, which was supposedly Anakin because he was born of the Force to Shmi, would bring balance to the Force, and by balance to the good side. Not what he did where he kind of nearly wiped out the light side entirely, and then when his son reminded him that, hey, Dad, you're kind of an asshole, he decided to try to right the ship, even though he really didn't fulfill the prophecy. I mean, what do you think, Nick? Would you consider Vader fulfilling the prophecy of the Chosen One or not?
I mean, it really depends on how you look at it. I don't think so. I've seen it explained different ways. You know, when you look at it in terms of a numbers balance, if you're talking about that, at the time of the Old Republic, there were far more Jedi than there were Sith at that time. So by a pure numbers standpoint, it was way out of whack. Now, if you look at the, episodes 4, 5, and 6, you have 2 Sith and 2 Jedi. So you could argue that in a way, in a pure numbers standpoint, balance was achieved. Because right when Luke kind of hit his Jedi stride, Yoda died. So you still had, then you only had one. Then you kill the Emperor, and then you had 2. You had 1 and 1, and then Vader died, and then it was out of balance again. So for a moment there, you could kind of argue that it was balanced in some way, but I really, if you're talking about like a Force perspective and a galaxy-wide kind of equilibrium, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, he, like we've all know at the end of Jedi, he definitely does try to right some of his wrongs, albeit a little too late. So, yeah, this theory, and I could buy it more if they framed it in the sense of just kind of the Matrix example I gave, where the idea of the chosen one, the Force is going to keep shooting out Force babies until it achieves its goal. But the way they were spinning this one, literally, they were saying it was Anakin Skywalker, and the reason he came back as a girl on a hot desert planet, that was like his purgatory because he hates sand. I mean, this is how ridiculous some of these can
This
get.
honestly, to me, this theory sounds like nothing but like a hardcore movie nerd jerk fest. Like it's some dude
Yeah,
came
it's
up with it who really fucking loves the Matrix and really loves Star Wars, and he's like, you know what? Smash those two things together, and this can be a little explanation of who Rey is in this whole scheme of things. I mean, to me, it's almost patently ridiculous to like. I would like to see, obviously you got JJ out there who's kind of the gatekeeper. I'd like to see if he reads these kind of things, and I would like to see reaction videos. Like once the movies come out, see him react to all the ridiculous rumors that came out during production.
well, and you bring up a good point. I mean, I would love to just be in a writer's room or like over there in Ireland or wherever Rian Johnson's at right now and just see their reactions to these theories in real time because obviously he knows the story. Because we got news weeks ago now that JJ was like, oh fuck, now that I've read the entire episode 8 script, I wish I didn't turn it down.
Yeah.
So I mean, he knows the story, so he knows more or less probably the shit we're speculating on. So yeah, you're right. I mean, are they sitting there just going, man, these people have some really good drugs, or holy shit, these people are nuts, and hopefully we can please them with reality. But yeah, I think that's the first one, and as I said, probably the most crazy and far-fetched. Moving on to the next most ridiculous, or probably not going to happen, I think, and you could disagree with me, Nick, would be that she's from a brand new Force family that we've never heard about.
That's again, it's so hard to believe just because of like why would you bring a character to prominence in this in the reincarnation of Star Wars that isn't already linked to one of the famous families? It just seems to me like her importance, her abilities, and everything that Rey is speaks to the fact that she is a part of one of the families that's already out there, not something completely new. And like this is probably I'm probably going to mention this point again later in the cast, but like this is something I brought up in the Snowcast. When Disney bought this franchise, when they bought Star Wars, probably the best thing in their mind was that they didn't have to do anything from scratch. They had so much already there that they were like, really all we have to do is just build on it. So it really wouldn't make sense from a writing and storytelling perspective to have a saga that is rich in family history and then bring in a character where you have to literally completely write a new backstory, new characters just to explain who she is, and then explain where they were in the previous movies and how she's so powerful in the Force if we've never heard about who her family is. It just doesn't make much sense to me. It would really be disappointing if they were like, well, she's whatever, she's something completely different.
No, I agree, and I remember when you made that point about Snoke that it just doesn't make sense narratively to have to introduce a whole brand new faction that we've never heard about. I mean, it's an easy way to just be like, oh yeah, well that's why she does this because these people are essentially the Skywalkers that no one ever heard of. They've just stayed hidden all along, blah blah blah. So I think that is another one that's probably not going to happen, meaning that Rey is just, Rey Haywood. She's my kid, and I have the Force, and she has the Force, this, that, and the other thing. So I completely agree with you on that one, and I don't think they're going to go that way. But hey, we don't know. We don't know anything at this point. Although my man, how do you say his name? Is it Ryan, or Reen?
I've always said Ryan, but I feel like I might be
Okay.
saying it wrong. I feel like it might be Rian.
Yeah, I think Reen. I have no idea. But anyways, he's already leaking more shit out than JJ's entire production. I mean, day one they had a fucking production announcement trailer where he's literally shooting back on that Irish island that that Force Awakens ends on. He's literally there, like, all right, production started, we're already filming. And then this week he tweeted out a picture from the set. So who knows? Maybe he'll leak something before we get to the movie. But really don't think Rey is just going to be this brand new Force family introduced in the Star Wars universe. So that's going to lead us into the possibilities here. We have three families that she could probably be from, although some are a bigger stretch than others. So just based on some pre-conversation, I think I'm going to lead with the Rey is Kenobi
Yeah.
speculation.
I know that you like this one, and after you explained it to me, it made a little bit more sense. But again, like, it would be such a stretch for, because like, one, you mentioned to me, there was this kind of, you know, soft spoken, little played love story in the Clone Wars cartoon series between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Duchess Satine. So like,
Yeah.
there's already seeds for like a, you know, a possible relationship between those two. And then you have the character of Sabine in Star Wars Rebels, the new cartoon series. And where this theory goes is to say that Sabine is the child of Kenobi and Satine. And then where it goes from there is to say that Sabine and the Force-sensitive character Ezra in Star Wars Rebels will eventually hook up, and then they will give birth to Rey. That's, again, that's a real hard stretch for me, because then it's like, when you're referencing the cartoons, you're really shrinking your audience down, and you're really risking that people don't know who you're talking about. So while everybody can identify Obi-Wan Kenobi from, you know, all of the other movies, a lot of people, even Star Wars fans, might not be able to identify, you know, Duchess Satine, Sabine, or Ezra. So if you bring those characters into the movie franchise in like in a tangential way, even people could be confused. And especially if you don't have any kind of character representation of them in the movies.
No, I mean, it's all good points. It's just the cartoons are canon. I mean, that's legit. The Clone Wars, Rebels are canon, so technically they could draw upon it if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely they could.
You know, we just saw Leia in an episode of Rebels before she is full. I mean, this is just her first foray into the Rebel Alliance and screwing over the Empire. So it would be fair to draw on those characters, but I think your points are well made. That how many people are watching a cartoon? I mean, I'm 35. I watch it. I'm sure most kid Star Wars fans love it. Although for some reason they air it at 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. I don't know how many little kids are even allowed to be up that late, but that's a whole nother topic. So I'm going to give this one a little bit of ounce of life because for some reason I think they're leaning towards Kenobi being involved. I mean, he was a very prominent voice in Rey's Force vision.
Mm-hmm.
She heard Yoda in that. She heard Luke scream, I think, from Empire.
Yeah.
She was in Bespin. I mean, right when she entered the vision, that was the hallway that Luke's dad was kicking his ass in on Bespin. That's been confirmed. But at the very end, it's clear and it's been confirmed that both a mix of Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor, a line, essentially says, Rey, these are your first steps.
Yeah, and then, you know, obviously there's a lot of chirping out there now that they may bring Ewan McGregor back for a small cameo in Episode 8, Force Ghost, something like that. There were rumors that he was going to be a Force Ghost again in Episode 7, but when it came down to it, we only got his voice. He's been on talk shows, like I saw him on Kimmel, and he was talking about literally sitting next to the phone, like, yeah, waiting for the call from JJ for Episode 7, and it never came.
Well, yeah, why? I mean, I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I know. I thought Ewan was great as Kenobi. It was just, I mean, he had the unfortunate deal of being in the prequels. So, I mean, his Kenobi will probably still never reach the adoration that fans have for Sir Alec Guinness's Kenobi. But he's legit. I mean, I like the guy. He's related to fucking Wedge, for God's sakes. I mean, Star Wars is in his family. It would be an odd move. I mean, if they did bring him in as a Force ghost, do you think they just CGI his fucking head to look like Alec Guinness?
I don't think so. I think you would have to go with Ewan McGregor, and
Just doctor him up real
yeah,
old and shit? Yeah.
yeah, because if you were to do that, like that would, man, as happy as I would be to see Alec Guinness again, it would just feel wrong, especially if you're gonna be like it's gonna be Ewan's voice, and like it's gonna be actually him
Yeah.
behind the camera. I don't think you could do that.
They've gotten good at it. I mean, I'm sure you saw Ant-Man and the young Michael Douglas. I thought was a good sell. It didn't look that fake.
Yeah,
Even young Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy didn't look that bad, and that was even
yeah,
many years down the road. So the technology is there to do it, but yeah, your points are definitely legit. I mean, it could come off looking a little wonky. So I am gonna leave a little. I'm gonna leave the door open a little bit for Rey Kenobi, as we will call her, maybe eventually.
yeah. It's
Who
definitely more possible than the other two that we spoke of, and it would be a pretty interesting turn of events. Like if you're gonna throw a curveball out there, that's a hell of a curveball to throw.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling he's gonna work his way in somehow. I really do. But only time will tell, and we have plenty of time to think about it because it's not coming out till December 15th, 2017 now. So, boo hoo, boo hoo.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna move into the ones that are more than likely gonna be the actual truth behind Rey's heritage. You know where she came from, and I'm actually gonna lead with she's a Skywalker.
Okay. Let's go there.
Reason I'm starting with Skywalker is I just think it's too fucking obvious that she's Luke's spawn or somehow came from Luke. Who knows? I just think it's too damn obvious the way they ended it. You know, Luke was tearing up a little bit. You know, she looked like she almost knew him. So I'm just going. I'm saying that she's probably not going to be a Skywalker solely on the fact that it's just too big of a duh type of reveal.
Yeah. Again, like it would be a great kind of, I guess you would say, offshoot story between those two, like long lost parents. Her getting to know her dad while also training in the ways of the Force to defeat the dark side and all this kind of shit. But like you said, like they almost basically that end scene was like you could look at her face and it's like she's looking at her dad. You could almost if she said dad in that moment, you wouldn't even be surprised because of the look on her face.
No, and I'd be all for it. I'm not saying I'd be disappointed, and maybe that's their thinking. They're like, well, all these hardcore nut jobs, they're probably thinking it's way too convenient to make Luke her dad. So let's actually make him her dad, and then they'll be like, oh my god, mind blown, they did it.
Yeah.
So I'd be cool with it. I mean, they definitely have a similar look. They've lived a similar life, even more so than Anakin did. I mean, Rey's life mimicked Luke's nearly identically.
And obviously, if you're going to introduce her as the Skywalker kid, you're going to have to bring in a mother somewhere. You're going to have to at least mention a mother. So that's kind of where like it strays from me a tiny bit because we haven't seen a character already in any of the movies that could be her mother. So she would have to be a new introduction, and then they would have to quickly cover who she is, how it happened, kind of thing.
Do you think they would even touch the Mara Jade stuff, or is that too expanded universe at this point for Disney?
I think it's too expanded universe, but I would love it because those two characters were great together, especially Mara Jade being an Imperial assassin, like the Emperor's right hand assassin, before she met Luke, turned to the light side, and they got married and had Ben. But I mean, I would if they did that, if they did introduce like a Mara Jade type character, then I would be all for it.
Yeah, I know we're saving the other one for last, which could be a real one, but I'm almost talking myself into that her being a Skywalker is almost a bigger possibility than her being a Solo, which is our last potential origin for Rey.
Yeah,
I just the Solo one to me, I just unless Han was drunk and passed out while Leia was giving birth, and she was knocked out like her mom giving birth, and then someone took Rey and hid them because they were afraid that she could become like Ben Solo and kind of a nut job. I don't know how the fuck they don't even hint that they know her in The Force Awakens.
Now, here's one. If I'm not mistaken, they recently released the age difference between those two. And
Rey is
19.
1920 and he's 30, 33, right?
Something like that. So if
Yeah,
you
he's
think
in his
about
30s. She's a teen, early 20s.
Yeah, so if you think about it, this is the way that I see it, and this is my favorite of all of them. So the way that you could see it playing out is at an early age, kids are sent off for force training. So when they sent Ben off to Luke for training, Han and Leia were still together. Obviously, shit started to go south. Kids don't really get vacations from force training, so it's not like he goes home, and they can see like, oh, he's bad. He's just kind of like, he falls to the dark side, and that's kind of it. Like, they haven't seen him. That's why in The Force Awakens, like, it surprises them when they see him at Maz's
Well,
place.
yeah, I mean that his ultimate turn is what broke those two apart. I mean that's why they went their separate ways for so many years.
Exactly. So, like, my thinking on this is that before they split up, when Ben fell, they hooked up, and then, or like in one of the decent periods in the relationship right before they split, she got pregnant and he didn't know. So when they separated, she was in, like, Leia was in the very early stages of pregnancy, probably before, like first couple of months. And she either didn't know or didn't tell him. And when Han left, she just never told him anything about Rey. And it always, when I watched The Force Awakens, it always looked to me at the end, and especially when Rey and Leia interact separate from everybody else, that Leia knew who she was in some kind of way. Now that could be that, like, she knows that Rey is Luke's kid, but it always came off to me.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
and BB-8 says something to Rey that we still don't know what he says.
Mm-hmm. So
because right when she turns away, he's like, blah, 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 and she's like, okay, yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and then that scene at the end of it where you have the moment between Leia and Rey. She walks off towards the Falcon, and it's just kind of that long shot that you see the back of Leia with Rey walking away. It's almost like a mother watching her daughter leave. And then, like, to me, it would make for the more interesting story with the new characters. Obviously, the old characters, Han, Leia, and Luke, still play a huge part in these movies. But what you're doing in these is you're setting up future movies with these new characters. And what would be a better story? Would it be a battle between cousins, aka, between Rey and Kylo, or a battle between brother and sister? To me, the more engaging, the more, interesting story would be if they were brother and sister. And because that would bring out so much more emotion in not only Ben, but also in Rey. Because in this scenario that we're breaking down, like, Ben wouldn't even know that Rey is his sister. Like, because he wasn't there, he didn't know. And then that would be a reason for Leia to sequester her. Is like, look, I know my kid has fallen to the dark side, and I know that the reason me and Luke were separated is because Force users can sense their family within the Force, especially if they're very strong. So Leia's like, fuck, I have this kid now. My son is an evil bastard. I have to get her as far away from me as possible so he doesn't find her. And as it always happens.
So you think she just ships her off to Jakku then? She's the one that drops her off there, or sends someone to drop her off?
I think so, yeah. That in my mind, that's how it would play out.
Yeah, I think you brought up some good points. I just I wonder then, what's Leia's motivation at the end of the movie to still keep their relationship secret?
I just think that
Like, if she knows that that's her daughter, why keep playing it off like she's not?
because she doesn't want Ben to know, and she knows that
That
obviously,
Ben can
yeah, he.
sense his mother's feelings still?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, as you can see in the movie, Ben can pretty much reach into your mind and pull out whatever he needs. He did that to Poe, and he could, he's probably done it many other times to other
We
people.
tried doing a little bit to Ray, and then she's like, get the fuck out of my
Yeah,
head.
she
She
pushed
figured
him
it
off.
out.
Yeah, so, but I think that would be a reason to keep it a secret from her because as long as she doesn't know, he can't get it from her. So,
All right.
I mean,
It's an interesting way to spin it, no doubt about it. I never really thought about it that way. I just always thought of just what I saw on screen and did it hint at any familial bond between those three. And I
yeah.
didn't feel any, but maybe that was by design,
Now,
like you said. Kind of.
did you think that Luke and Leia were going to be brother and sister in the movies the first time you saw it?
Oh man, we're talking. I was fucking 3 or 4 years old, so I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
really have that advanced of a brain. I don't think, but no, I thought, and it's I always wonder how I was able to formulate my first opinions about Star Wars when I watched it so young. It makes no sense, and then that's why I love it so much. It's just part of me, but I did know, or when Yoda finally reveals that he has a sister, I'm like, oh shit, he's been making out with fucking his sister. Because I always, even in the first one, A New Hope. I mean, there's a little bit of a competition all the time between Han and Luke
Mm-hmm.
for Leia, and that extends into Empire. When she comes in, Han pisses her off, acting all fresh, and she's like, "All right, fuck you. I'm gonna make out with my brother for a little bit."
Yeah, and see, like,
So yeah, you're right. I had no idea. Just like you had no idea. I mean, no one knew that Vader was their dad.
yeah,
I mean, so maybe you're on to something for
and
real.
then
I've never thought about in that situation as you set it up.
yeah, and then if you think back again, back into Episode 6, when Luke is talking to Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, he asks him, he's like, "Why? Well, why didn't you just tell me that she was my sister?" And that's when he came out and said, he's like, "Look, I had to keep it a secret from you because if you knew, then there was a chance that Vader, like he did when they were fighting on the Death Star at the end, fucking pulled it right out of his head. Sister, your twin sister, huh?"
Oh yeah, I mean, even at the end of Empire, they were already telepathically communicating with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, when Luke got picked up and Vader's still on the command ship, you know, Luke's just going. That's when he calls him father, and they fucking connect. And from there on out, they essentially had a window into each other's thoughts.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
And I think that's what helped Luke to get his dad to switch. Ultimately, is that he did have that sentiment for him through that bond. So, you may be. I think you just convinced me, dude.
that's my favorite one. I mean, leave out the part that like in the old EU you had Jaina and Jason Solo. Like as it's set up now, and with all of the precursors from the other movies, I feel like this would be the strongest place for it to go in a narrative sense. Just because it's a great relationship to set up with the new characters, and it's also an interesting turn of events with the old characters. Han not knowing about his kid, Ben not knowing that he has a sister, and essentially what you're gonna, and then if you look at it like this just kind of came to me, it's a way for Luke to redeem himself because he's already failed with one Solo kid, so he's like, I have a second chance now with this one. I've failed Ben, he turned to the dark side. Now the only thing that I can do is do better with his sister and hope that there can be some kind of conflict resolution here.
Do you think he's going to train her to kill him?
I don't.
Or do you think it's going to be like him and try to wrangle him back to the light like he did with his dad?
I don't think so. See, like this was something that I said in the very first spoiler cast we did when we had the rest of the Buddhacast crew on here. The way that I think it's going to go down is that she's going to end up turning him back to the light side before
Oh,
Like,
and then do you think that's going to happen in 8, or you think that the thread will be kind of woven in 8, and then at the beginning of 9 it happens, and nine's them going to wipe out the First Order?
I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, 9, because a lot of people are, they're not sure where it's going to go, but I think that's what nine's going to be. Like 9 is going to be Ben turning back, and then them two, and then the rest of the Resistance going to take out the First Order and Snoke, which I think would be great because, I mean, you're already mirroring the original trilogy to a certain extent in these movies, and that would be a good way to kind of distance yourself from it a little bit. Is to have that third movie instead of be, a build up to a fight to the death. Have it be, you know, the two main characters, the two new main characters teaming up to take down the evil forces of the galaxy.
It would definitely break the mold, but from what I'm hearing, 8 will mimic Empire, and it's going to be a little darker and probably not as pleasant for the good guys.
Okay.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't blame them from kind of doing what JJ did with 7 and hitting notes that were laid in the New Hope, and 8 hitting notes in Empire, 9 hitting notes in Jedi. I wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't be upset, but I think I would like something a little more fresh, kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Something we're not expecting, but I really think 8's going to be dark. I mean, I think we're really going to explore in the Kylo's mindset and him wrapping his training, and then just Rey obviously coming to grasp with her new tutor and her heritage and why she was dropped off and this, that, and the other thing. So it'll be interesting. We only have, as far as Rey goes, we still don't really have the vision to give us any insight into who she may be. And obviously seeing all the locations that she saw, there's potential Skywalker Solo genes going on in there, and potential Kenobi genes. You never know. And hey, even Yoda chimed in a little bit, I think. So maybe Yoda banged someone on Dagobah. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I
But
heard.
the curious part about that vision still is the rain, where we see Kylo and the Knights of Ren, and she's essentially staring at them. I still don't know if that's a future vision, or if that's something she potentially might have saw when Kylo and the Knights wiped out Luke's school. I don't know. I mean, if it is the latter, then that means she was already being trained by Luke, and then when Kylo went bad, they had to hide her because they knew of her potential. I'm probably leaning towards it being a future vision.
Yeah, me too.
And somehow, the Knights of Ren wipe out another group of people that Rey witnesses or tries to stop and fails. Who knows?
Yeah, I know that they said. Well, I've heard that the Knights of Ren are actually going to play a bigger role in Episode 8. So I think I was leaning towards Future Vision as well. You don't really get a good chance to see like who they're taking out. Obviously, like you don't know who they're killing. But
there's one good shot of a dude, I think it's Kylo, stabbing a guy through the back.
Yeah.
And he looks almost somewhat like a samurai. I mean, he has like that kind of big brimmed, almost like a Raiden hat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
From Mortal Kombat. So yeah, it looks like they're fighting some sort of organized ancient warriors, but they definitely didn't appear to be Jedis or Force users. And the only lightsaber I saw was Ren's. I don't know if any of the knights had lightsabers lit up, but I just saw Kylo.
Yeah, I mean, Kylo was there with his lightsaber, and if you look at the knights, like I saw one of them holding like a big ass staff of some kind. Right. But I didn't see any other lightsabers. So.
And they all have similar helmets, though, right? To Kylo's.
Yeah, they're all their garb in general is pretty similar. I'd have to go back and watch it again to get a better look at their masks.
Yeah, I want to learn more about the Knights of Ren too, because Snoke brings up the fact that Kylo is the leader of the Knights of Ren. I mean, are these guys that he formed after he went rogue, killing Luke shit, trying to do his own thing before Snoke got involved? But we've learned from the book adaptation that Snoke has been messing with Ben since he was a little kid, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Either, just giving him visions or this, that, and the other thing. But Snoke's known about Ben Solo for a long time.
Yeah, one of my thoughts was that, obviously it's assumed that Ben killed Luke's apprentices. that were with him when he was training. But my idea is that he could have turned them all, could have flipped them all, and then that's the Knights of Ren.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think he probably killed those that weren't going to fall in line, and those that did embrace transitioning over to the dark side became his followers. It's
Yeah.
just why are they the Knights of Ren? That's why I want to know. And the fact that they use knights is curious. So maybe Luke started the Knights of Ren, and that was his training group, and Ben came in and fucking took it over. Who knows? That's the type of shit I like to think about. So maybe one of these casts will have to do something about the Knights of Ren if we can dig up more information.
Yeah, definitely have to go look for some crazy fan theories on the Knights of Ren.
Well, fuck. I mean, everyone else is just pulling shit out of their ass. We might as well start being the trendsetters. We'll just make up our own shit and try to get it posted.
Yeah, for
Why
sure.
not? That's what all these
Let's
other
do
people
it.
are doing. I mean, they'll cite some Wikipedia articles, which are all fan curated anyway, so nothing's legit. I mean, it's the internet, dude. We can throw shit out there; it'll stick somewhere.
For sure.
It's like today, people in back where this is a tangent here with the Pokemon Sun and Moon or whatever. Like legit gaming media people were quoting a fake Nintendo account and saying that this is legit.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so I mean, anything you put on the internet, people more or less will believe that it's legit, so or
At
real
least,
or truthful.
yeah, at least for a time being. It's just like people have gotten so interested or so preoccupied with getting the story out first that nobody takes the time to see if the story is true before they publish it.
No, and that was a bunch of people then wrote response editorials with that sentiment right there.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, people, all you would have to do is look at the Twitter account to see that it's not verified, to know that it's not. And it was spelled Nilendo of America,
Oh.
like the handle.
Oh man.
So yeah, I mean, that's why we'll just start making up some fucking bonker ass Star Wars theories and see if we can get quoted or written about on other sites.
Let's do it, man. I'm sure we could. We have so much Star Wars knowledge between the two of us. I'm sure we could come up with something that sounds halfway decent.
Yeah, my shit is like I've been going through and archiving all my old toys. I wrote a database just to really truly know how much shit I own, and I've made it into the old Star Wars stuff. And I can pull out almost any figure and name them without looking at the name placard on the box.
That's amazing.
It's just like the random shit. Just people that were in like the cantina. I know their names. Good old Snaggletooth, guys like that. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, we're definitely fountains of Star Wars useless information and helpful information. All right, so the format for these, we'll always pick a topic and we'll go through it, which we did today. We're trying to figure out Rey's origins, but I also just want to talk about some of the current news about Star Wars because, hey, it's back, and it's probably even better than before. Even though that's odd to say, but I really think that is the truth. I think Disney is executing a great plan so far, and I have no complaints. So just some items of note. I already mentioned this one. Episode 8 is in principal photography right now. That means the cameras are out there filming. I would assume filming will probably last for, what do you think, six months or so?
6 to 8 months, yeah, probably
Yeah,
so.
and then they'll start post work on it. And as I mentioned, just make sure to follow entertainmentboo.com because anytime Rian Johnson tweets something from the set, I will be posting it. And like I said, it seems like he's at least going to give us possible teases every single week at the start of the week, at least on his Twitter account. So we know episode 8 is filming. There's already been a fucking trailer. It was a shot of another mute Luke. It was essentially the reverse shot of what we got in The Force Awakens where Rey is extending the saber to Luke. Now we got to see the shot from behind Luke's head to Rey extending. That's all it really was. And yeah, Luke still does not talk. And Mark Hamill still will not reveal if he has any dialogue in episode 8. He's another great follow on Twitter. So we got episode 8 going. As far as you Lego Star Wars fans, a lot of good stuff coming out. They're doing these little mini episodes. Lego The Resistance Rises. And this is set in the area. I believe it's before episode 7 as far as the timeline goes. There's one last week. They're like 5 minutes long. Disney XD. It was something Poe to the rescue. I love the Lego Star Wars bits. Nick, I don't know if you've watched any of them. Lego Droid Tales is amazing. All the Yoda Chronicles are fantastic. I mean, it just has that stupid Lego humor, and the writing is brilliant. So that's one to check out. They also announced they're creating a brand new family in the Star Wars canon, and this is going to be the Freemakers. And they're going to have their own Lego series called the Freemaker Adventures, and this one is set, I think, in between Empire and Jedi. And this one family, they're scavengers, and they're tasked to go out and find the only ever pure kyber crystal saber. So imagine the lightsaber was legitimately all made out of crystal. It was super powerful. This Jedi decided to break it and scatter the shards around the galaxy, so they have to go and find it. So that looks interesting. We're also getting Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens video game, which is going to tell some canon story that we did not see in the movie. That's been confirmed by Game Informer. I love the Lego games, even though they're kind of brain dead. Lego Star Wars is which kicked off the whole Lego video game craze in the first place. So I think it's cool. We're going to kind of, it's supposed to tell new story about what happened in The Force Awakens or leading up to The Force Awakens, and it is considered canon. So those are the big news items I have, Nick. I don't know if you saw anything this week that I might have missed as far as, maybe any Rogue One news, casting news, anything like that. I usually catch that stuff because I call myself the Entertainment Boot after all, but sometimes I do miss things.
Yeah, there were 2 castings that were confirmed for Episode 8. I know that Laura Dern was one of them.
Oh, yeah, good call. And then that, the Asian actress, right?
Oh, man, it's going to kill me. I'm going to look it up real quick. Star Wars. But yeah, she was confirmed, so they haven't... Benicio del Toro also confirmed for Episode 8.
Right.
They haven't said which characters they're going to be playing. It's just, news that they've been cast in the series. So that's more speculation. Who do you think they're going to be? Are they going to be...
Now that you brought up Laura Dern again, people are hinting that she may be related to Rey.
Okay, that could be Rey's mama. That could be Mara
Something
Jade
like that.
Skywalker.
Yep.
I mean, I could see that. I mean, Laura Dern's a good actress. She hasn't really gotten a lot of screen time lately, but I mean, I'm glad.
Nah, I mean, she was obviously hot in the 90s with Jurassic Park and then Castaway. I think she was in that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she really hasn't been in much.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously Benicio del Toro already has, Disney/Marvel ties through Guardians of the Galaxy when he played the Collector.
And he's supposed to play a somewhat bad dude, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. He's going to be a First Order crony of some type, I would imagine. So
yeah, which makes sense because I mean the guy I love the dude as an actor, but he just always looks like a fucking bad dude. He looks like a bad fucking guy.
Yeah.
Even when they put that white hair on him in Guardians, he still looked sinister. Like you didn't trust him as the Collector. Not that the Collector can be trusted, but yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't come across anything else that would be interesting. I know Game Informer, they did a story today on a canceled Star Wars The Force Awakens video game that featured a completely different plot where essentially it dealt with Luke's kid and Luke's kid dealing with being pulled between the light and the dark. But as far as legitimate stuff, nothing new on Rogue One. Nothing real new on 8 besides, like I said, we're just getting social media teases from the director. And then we got all the cartoon stuff. I'd imagine Star Wars Rebels is probably rounding home on the second season. Still a pretty good show. Past couple episodes been a little weak in my opinion, but it's Star Wars. I'll fucking eat it up, like I said. And if you, Nick, if you have not looked at the Lego shit, do it.
Yeah,
I know it might sound ridiculous, but the Droid Tales that aired at the tail end of 2015 are fantastic. I mean, there's laugh out loud moments in that, and I know it's meant for kids, but whatever. I guess I never grew up.
Awesome, yeah.
All right, dude. Well, I think we can put this one to bed. So, just to recap, we were talking about Rey's origins. We were thinking the most realistic possibilities are probably going to be Rey Solo, Rey Skywalker. And third, I'm going to throw in Rey Kenobi. Fourth, I'm going to say she's literally the chosen one again. So she's essentially midichlorians that got into a woman's vagina and she had a baby like Mary and Jesus. And then the most unlikely, as Nick pointed out, is going to be she's just brand new. We've never heard of her family before. They've somehow been hiding all these years. And that's why she's so mysterious.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that. I got to agree with that.
So if I had my vote, I think Nick has almost talked me into the Solo bit. Although I would still be fine with Kenobi or Skywalker. I'd be fine with anything at this point in time. I just want the fucking movie to come out already.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
that's where I'm at. I'm just the anticipation's building up. I would imagine we'll probably get the first trailer December 2016. So I'm already counting down to that date. And it's going to be, 2017 is going to be 2015 all over again. Just counting it down, waiting for December to roll around.
yeah.
And then hopefully being treated to another magical experience as JJ provided us on December 21st of this year. So
I have
until
faith.
next time, my friend, anything you want to plug?
No, nothing for me, man.
All right, rock and roll. Well, for me, you can follow me at Matt R. Haywood on Twitter. I've started a new little hobby with my Funko Pop obsession, doing some real, strange little Photoshop art, and I'm actually doing some photography now. So if you're into Funko Pops, just weird shit, you hit me up on Instagram at Haywood Pop. And then, as always, you know what to do. The only way you're going to make yourself a better geek one post at a time is going to entertainmentbuddha.com on a daily basis. It's simple, people. If you want to be geeky like us and have the knowledge that we do, you have to tap into the Entertainment Buddha. So, all right, Nick, it's been a pleasure as always. Hopefully we'll get this down to the bi-monthly cast as we promised. One of these days, maybe we'll do it weekly, leading up to the movie, who knows, but I love doing it. It's been real, people. We are out.